Hello, everyone.
and welcome back to a new YouTube video. And our topic for today is what is the ultimate life lesson that you were taught as an adult? So I'll let my sister go first.
Okay, hi guys again. What I would say is the ultimate lesson I have learned as an adult is don't don't expect things from others so that you will not be disappointed. So I try to live by this rule now because I have been hurt in the past by people that I trusted and stuff like that. So I try my best not to have a lot of expectations. Because I find when you have a lot of expectations in people, sometimes yes, there might be one or two that don't disappoint, but a lot disappoint. Another life lesson that I will learn to is always choose yourself first. Don't think about others, think about yourself. I believe in that wholeheartedly because we try to please others and hurt ourselves. So that's another life lesson that I would have learned even while living here in Canada. Because since I migrated, um, a lot of people that I would have thought would have been with me in this journey, they are no longer there. And yeah, that's another thing. And then thirdly, I would say that another life lesson I had or have rather is just just live. Just do you. People will talk, people will have something to say. That's human nature. And just do what you have to do and do what makes you happy.
Nice, very good, my sister. Um, those are awesome life lessons, and I find that um, as we merge from childhood into our teenage years and our adult life, we are taught so many lessons as we go through different experiences. So for me personally, one of my lessons I would say is that sometimes if plan A doesn't work, it's okay to go with plan B or plan C or plan Z. And I can say that because I was always somebody who lived by a plan. Like I like to plan everything, and nothing is wrong with planning either. By the way, nothing is wrong with having goals. Nothing is wrong with having, um, you know, manifesting things that you want into your life. I'm a big manifester, big, uh, still a pretty big planner to some extent, but I have learned to slacken a bit too at the same time because when you are a big planner like myself and you want things to go the way you want it to go, sometimes when things don't go that way, you feel so disappointed and you feel so downtrodden. And, sometimes you just have to tell yourself, well, it's not the end of the world type thing, because things happen. And again, life doesn't always go how we want it to go. Some things it goes better. We might not be able to see it in the moment, but um, but for me personally, that was a very very tough lesson for me to learn because, like I said, it was something that I just did on a regular basis. I wanted this at this time. I wanted this at this time, and it has happened where I've achieved things at this time and this time like I wanted it to, but it's also happened where a lot of my life, I can tell you my life story, migrating in Canada and all of that stuff, a lot of my life um, was a waiting process where, I didn't get things immediately. I had to wait for a while to get it. And for that taught me a lot of patience. In some circumstances, I might not even have gotten things at all in that moment, but it taught me sometimes you just have to go with it. And if plan A doesn't work, then maybe you can come up with something else that might work. You know, God has a different plan for your life. Um, And that's how I started to look at it because, yep. So another life lesson I would say is stop watching people. And that was something for me personally that I had to, because when you go on the vlog, not the vlogs, what am I done with vlogs? When you go on social media and stuff, and you see certain people's life, especially when you want something and the other person might have it, that little feeling of jealousy creeps in and you feel a little, downtrodden again because it's like, well, I want this and this person got this. And I've had those moments where I felt like, well, this person have achieved this by this age and this person have achieved this by this age and I'm this age and I haven't achieved this and this and this as yet. And that can just seriously cause you to go down a downward spiral of depression, feeling defeated, all of these things because you expect your life to go the same way as other people's lives. And we are not robots. It doesn't work like that. Each of us have a different path, and each path we have a different what word am I looking for? Like there's a different stage of your path, so to speak. So even if you're gonna accomplish something, it might not even happen at the time you want it to happen. So looking at other people's lives on social media, it just makes it completely worse. Now when I, you know, go through my social media, I just kind of browse and after a certain time I come off and I do something else because nine times out of 10, sometimes even the lives we see on social media is not necessarily what it is portrayed to be. Some people might be putting on a facade, is that what you call it? Anyway,
Isn't it facade?
let's pretend I didn't say it wrong. Some people are putting on a show. How about that? And and we are all just so focused on what they have or what they achieve. Some people might not be as happy as they portray themselves to be, and all these different things. And so, yeah, sometimes you just need to focus on your life and your own story, so to speak. And then even when people accomplish things, you might see because people don't post the negatives. People usually don't post the hardships and don't post the tears and don't post the whatever. They usually post their achievements and accomplishments. So you kind of see the end goal or the end of the race before you don't get to see that building moment or that journey. So you don't know what people would have gone through to get what they had to get. And because of that, then you see the end result. You're like, oh, I want this. But sometimes we're not in a position to walk the same path that they had to walk. We might not be built for that. Our path is different. We might not be able to walk in their shoes to handle the trials and like the hardships and the different things that people had to go through. For me personally, I have had my own trials and hardships and different things, and some people would not have been able to walk my path. So, yeah, so it's okay to want things, but at the same time, you have to be careful for what you're asking because certain things come with some type of challenge or struggle or whatever, and we have to understand that it just doesn't appear in your hands easy peasy squeezy. So yeah.
Well, Shanita just had a long wind there, but I wanted to touch on something that she said and just share a strategy that I use. She was talking about looking at people who have this. She used to look at people who have stuff that she wanted. For me personally, a strategy I use is just I would say just don't look. Well, I don't want to just don't look because ain't it's set up to look. But the moment that you see somebody has something that you really want, I just scroll up. Like it just keep going. For me personally, I'm not that type of person. If I don't have something, I don't have it. It means it's not for me as yet. I believe that everybody will receive what they need to receive. I believe that God will bless all of us, and like God will bless us for like for what He wants to give us or whatever. Because at the end of the day, you can't rush God. God is gonna do what He has to do for you. And then too, like going back to what Shanita was saying, we might be jealous of persons or might feel that jealousy way about persons getting through in life. But you don't know the people who jealous of we too, jealous of our lives as well. So that's something I look at also because even though I'm fortunate, for example, to be here in Canada, migrated, a lot of people wish they had the opportunity that I had. And as I said earlier, I lost friends over that for migrating because they were not happy for me. It was like it's for them. It's not. It shouldn't be for me. It should be for them, right? So I also look at it from the standpoint of I have something that people want, just like I want something that people have. So I try not to dwell on it because at the end of the day, it's a two-way street. That's how I look at it. So that's a strategy that I do. But as it relates to this whole thing about studying what people think, don't study what people think. Everybody is going to think. You think, I think, Shanita thinks, everybody thinks. But the reality is not to dwell on it. And that's why I don't dwell on it because why am I dwelling on something when I can't change it? Am I speaking facts, my sister?
Well, yes, but I have to play a little bit of a devil's advocate here because I want this to be as realistic as possible too. Because we're not saying you don't have feelings, and that's what I said. I have had those feelings of jealousy where you literally want something that you see, right? For example, um, let's talk about your exam that you did, the
And class.
in class, which was the most recent thing.
Mm-hmm.
You you work super hard from home, being a nurse. Have experience. I have to say that my sister is one of the best nurses I know. By the way, just I'm not just saying that. She has demonstrated. If anybody knows my story, they know that I went through a whole season of illness, and I've had many hospital visits, surgeries, etc., etc. And my sister was there to advocate for me when I couldn't do it on my own.
Thank
So
you.
so she's one of the best nurses. But what I do have to say in with this type of video that we're doing right now, when you were going through the season of having to do your NCLEX, and though you had the experience, you had that challenge of um not not being successful in taking it. You took it over, or how many times did you take it?
5 times.
So basically, in a position like that, now you have the experience of being a wonderful nurse, but you had to take this in class so much times. And what feelings did you feel knowing that other people who might not even have the same experience that you had took it maybe once or twice and passed it in one? You know what I mean? And then even in that moment, I can even ask you, in that moment, how did you feel?
I felt downtrodden. That's the word, right? Downtrodden or downtrodden? Whatever it is, I'd feel bad.
Right.
I felt bad, but I'll be honest again. Not everybody's me. I am a girl that I gonna cry, I gonna do the most the day of. You see, the next day I am back on my feet again. She just shaking her head because I cry for everything.
Due to us encouraging you.
Yes, just my family encouraging me, but the reality is, this is just me. I just feel bad for the first time. Honestly, feel bad is be wondering like why is it me all the time? And there are people out there that don't know how to do nursing properly and all of that, right? But as I said, I don't dwell. I don't dwell and say every single day. Like it's just like a big moment. I do the most, and then I start back over again. But that's just Tony.
Right. And I use that as an example to say the reality is sometimes not everybody is like that, because some people just don't care, like some people don't care what people have at all or whatever. But I say that to say, even if you're feeling that way, is not a negative, because we're humans, and at the end of the day, we will feel ways about certain things,
Right.
and that's why I said it was a life lesson for me to learn not to watch what other people have, because I would be watching this, and then at the end of the day, you know, it's not my thing, or it was not for me to have at that moment. So yeah, that was another life lesson for me. And then I think the biggest life lesson is how much I needed support from my family throughout all stages of my life. Because I've had moments of living in this country alone. Not and if you anybody that lives here in Canada and lived in Barbados, there's a complete and total stark difference. And let's not be thing about it. My country is one where the people are loving. You could call on the neighbors for anything. You could go out, chill. It's a very loving atmosphere type thing. And Canada, it could be very cold.
Yeah.
Like,
very lonely.
very lonely. And if you live in this country by yourself, you will experience that loneliness, because I mean, especially when you're not a extrovert, right? If you're an introvert, you're definitely, if you're somebody that don't usually like gravitate to people like that, you will definitely feel lonely, because it's not like when you're home where you could, call our neighbors and this thing that. And our neighbors have been pretty cool and nice and stuff, but yeah, people kind of just stick to their own thing and do their own thing here, and mind their own business, and that's just how it is here. So, what was I saying before? I like how you ramble.
Yeah, you ramble on
Yeah,
a bit.
but
You were saying that having family support.
right, but having that family support is super important, because even when my family wasn't here with me physically, they were always there on the phone, encouraging me, all these different things, and that became such a big lesson, in the sense that I recognized just how much I needed them. Because when you live home and you have everybody around you, you kind of take it for granted.
It's true.
But then when you're in that situation where you are just alone in a big place or whatever, it is a completely different situation. And then, of course, other challenges, other struggles. I went through illness, I went through immigration, I went through a divorce, I went through all these different things. And my family have been my backbone through it all. So, yeah, those are my life lessons.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something before we close. Going back to what Shanita was talking about with loneliness. Um, you, my sister is the biggest culprit for this, but for me, I am an extrovert, and it was very difficult at first finding people out here to talk to. So my phone became my best friend. Cause I was always on the phone, and Shanita was so Tony, you always on the phone. My mother says the same thing too, but I know what I had to do to cope. Because if it was not on my phone, I probably would have gone mad in here. Cause my dearly beloved sister, just like what she said, she's an introvert. She is not really a talker. She talks a lot here, but she's not a
I
talker.
have to.
She's not a talker, right? So, and you gotta know who you're living with too. So, I'm not blaming her for who she is. I can never change who she is, and I know her for all my life, right? So, I had to do my own coping mechanisms. As much as she talked about it, I did what I had to do.
Yeah,
Okay?
and that is actually a really good point that you just made too,
Yeah.
because even in admit that could be another life lesson. Regardless of whatever situations, finding strategies to deal
Exactly.
with your situation so that you could feel better about
Exactly.
whatever it is you're going through,
Exactly.
whether it is talking away their life on the phone, or whatever other mechanism you might be able to build up or come up with is anything to help you get through it.
Right.
Because we don't want any situation
Mental
where it
health
turns
issues or
tragic
whatever.
or whatever.
Exactly.
So, yes.
With that being said, guys, we would like to hear from you about what are we talking about now? About your life, about your life lessons. So please continue to like,
share,
and subscribe. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.